been a slow couple of months for Xbox, but they could make a big splash in June. Is the Perfect Dark reboot in trouble? We now know what's coming to Game Pass in the second half of March, and this 2K game is officially crossplay. Let's discuss. Now, one of my most anticipated games for this year is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I'm a big Borderlands fan, but I feel like the series has sort of declined since Borderlands 2 released. But Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, looking at the gameplay, looking at the trailer for this, it looks like it's packed in all the good stuff that we love and have come to expect from a good Borderlands game, like the loot, like the chaos, like the crazy dialogue. But they've gone and combined all of that good stuff with the sick magical abilities in this fantasy-esque setting. I think it's really cool that they decided to revisit the Bunkers and Badasses storyline that was introduced in Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. It sort of coincides in this weird renewed interest in D&D and other tabletop RPGs, you know, like the Critical Role, like the Not Another D&D podcast, amongst many others, but I think they've done a good job in combining that fantasy stuff, but giving it a distinctly Borderlands flavor. Last week we got some really awesome news, especially if you're a fan of playing Borderlands with other people as a multiplayer experience. CEO Randy Pitchford tweeted, "Tiny Tina's Wonderlands will ship on March 25th with full crossplay for all platforms at launch, including PlayStation, or should I say Claymation. Don't want to anger anyone in the comments. Incredible work from the engineers at Gearbox Software, with thanks to our partners at 2K Games and first parties including Sony for working together on this." He then followed that up with, "Please take it easy on us if there are any hiccups regarding crossplay. This is hard stuff and none of the platforms were designed for this. We've done impossible work to make it happen and to try to make it as easy to use as possible, but this is new territory and the wild is not a test environment." So this is really cool to see, especially because this is not something that you see often. If you're an Xbox player, you're probably used to the idea of crossplay between Xbox consoles and PC, but not between all of the consoles. Especially Claymation. I know a lot of the bigger games support crossplay across all the consoles, like Fortnite, Rocket League. I'm pretty sure Dauntless you can play across with PC and other consoles as well. Halo Infinite also supports, like I said, the Xbox console to PC crossplay, and that's been very divisive, but I personally like it. And this is especially cool because, as we all know, Borderlands is better with friends. Obviously, you can play it as a single-player experience, and it's very fun, but it's better with friends. It's better when all of your classes are synergizing together and all this craziness has happened. So this is really awesome to see that you're gonna have a way bigger pool of people to play with if you choose to play online. Again, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is coming out on the 25th. If you want to get ready for it, I highly recommend that you play Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a one-shot adventure. Originally, it was a DLC for Borderlands 2, but since then they have released it as a standalone game, and it is available on all Xbox consoles. Highly recommend that you check it out. Good evening. I'm Ray Trevino. You may recognize me as the host of Xbox Ready, or perhaps from my work on hit television series The Mandalorian. Thousands of Tarnished across the world suffer from an affliction known simply as being maidenless. If you are one of those people, you might be feeling alone, isolated, afraid. But know that you are not alone. I too am maidenless. I invite my brothers to wear your affliction with pride with this patented maidenless t-shirt. Every purchase of this patented maidenless shirt goes towards a tarnished in need as he navigates the world outside the lands between. If you would like to join me and my tarnished brothers in wearing our maidenless affliction with pride, go on down to the merch shelf in the description or go to stayxboxready.com and use the code STAYREADY for a 10% discount on your purchase. Thank you and have a good night. Now, a couple days ago, we found out what games are coming to Game Pass in the second half of March. Now, some of these games I've talked about before, but overall I'm pretty excited for the second half of March. First off, we got Shredders, which is going to be available on day one with Game Pass on Xbox Series consoles and PC and cloud gaming. Break into the snowboarding event of the year in the hope of scoring a wildcard entry to an exclusive invitational to prove you're up to the challenge, master the art of park riding, buttering rails, and massive kickers, and earn your place in the world of snowboarding. So yeah, it's a cool looking snowboarding game, but for all my Xbox One brothers out there, this is not going to be playable natively on your consoles. You're going to have to stream it to your Xbox One consoles via Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which offers cloud gaming. We also have Crusader Kings coming to consoles finally. It's available right now on PC Game Pass, but on the 29th it's going to be added to Xbox Series consoles. Live the life of a medieval ruler in Paradox Development Studios' award-winning strategy role-playing game, Crusader Kings 3. Assume the leadership of a medieval noble family, increasing its power and reputation through the generations. As one ruler dies, they are replaced by an heir who may have very different abilities or interests, forcing you to adjust your long-term plans. This is a strategy game very similar to Sid Meier's Civilization, if you're a fan of that. I think this is a huge deal. I think it's awesome that this game is coming to Xbox consoles. I really want more strategy games to make their way over from PC to consoles. Hopefully Age of Empires is not far behind. I feel like a lot of these strategy games are it's like you can build up your army and then just like blow through whatever challenge if you have a big enough force. I feel like from what I've seen from this game, it's a lot more in depth. The diplomacy is a lot more important in this game, and your overall strategy in terms of like who your current leader is a huge factor as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'm also very excited for Zero Escape, the No-Nary games. A group of strangers are kidnapped and forced to participate in a diabolical game of death. Who can be trusted? Tensions rise as the situation becomes increasingly dire. Can you find a way out of the No-Nary games? Or will you pay the ultimate price? Now, from my understanding, this is 2 games in one that originally came out for Nintendo Game Boy, I believe the 3DS, I think. But I'm really feeling the art style. It kind of reminds me of Persona 5. It kind of reminds me of Octopath Traveler. It's basically being billed by people online as like an escape the room experience, but with really awesome voice acting and a pretty good story. I really am interested in trying this. Surprisingly enough, this next game was not a part of the Xbox Game Pass announcement. It's called A Memoir Blue. It's put out by Annapurna Interactive. The description reads, a journey into depths of memory. From Cloisters Interactive, A Memoir Blue is an interactive poem about a superstar athlete and the all-encompassing love between mother and daughter. A unique aesthetic combining hand-drawn and 3D art brings Miriam's magical realist journey to life as she swims into the depths of her memories. A series of gameplay vignettes blend sacrifice and heartbreak with victory and pride as she reconnects with her inner child and deepens the love she shares with her mother. Again, I think it's weird that this was omitted from the official Game Pass release statement, but I'm generally a fan of Annapurna games, with the exception, I would say, of 12 Minutes. Didn't really so much like that one, but The Artful Escape, Outer Wilds, I really love, so I'm definitely gonna be checking this out. To anyone who uses their phone to play a lot of games via Xbox Cloud Gaming, they're adding touch controls to 9 games on the service, which I think is really cool. Those games include Among Us, Paparazzi, and Young Souls. I'm definitely interested in checking out Young Souls, and it's awesome that I can just pull it up on my phone. I don't even need a controller. I can just go boop, 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 and be playing the game. So as a reminder, Xbox Game Studios is working on a reboot of Perfect Dark. Now, this was a game that came out for the Nintendo 64, published by Rare Studios. It's an FPS shooter that follows Agent Joanna Dark, and it is considered the spiritual successor of GoldenEye 007. This reboot is being developed by the Initiative in collaboration with Crystal Dynamics, but apparently over the past year, they've lost up to 34 staff members. According to VGC, who reported this, they said that includes most of the Initiative's senior design team, including game director Dan Newberger, design director Drew Murray, lead level designer Chris O'Neill, principal world builder Jolien Myers, 2 senior system designers, a group of 3 former God of War designers, and more. But it doesn't just end there. The turnover of top talent doesn't end in design. Perfect Dark's 2 most senior writers also recently quit, analysis shows, along with the project's technical director, tech art director, lead gameplay engineer, lead animator, Q&A lead, and more. So apparently there was a culture shift when the Initiative started to bring in Crystal Dynamics to also work on this game. Now, on the outside looking in, them bringing in Crystal Dynamics made a lot of sense, at least it did for me. A lot of their employees at the Initiative used to work at Crystal Dynamics, including the studio head, Darren Gallagher, so to me it made a lot of sense at the time. But apparently former employees who spoke to VGC cited that there was a real problem with this top-down culture that they had. A lot of them said that they felt like they weren't being heard on key issues. One person said making games is hard enough, let alone when you feel like you can't get through to people making the decisions that affect everyone. Some people even went on to say that they were surprised how lenient Microsoft was being, especially given the lack of progress on this game. I don't know if that's indicative of how a hands-off approach can kind of backfire in some points. All of this is certainly concerning, of course, and it just sounds like this game, Perfect Dark, is shifting to be more like a Crystal Dynamics game. And depending on how you view Crystal Dynamics, that could be good or it could be bad. And while it's easy to point fingers, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna run with this and say, oh, Microsoft is bad, they can't manage their studios, Microsoft sucks. I feel like this is a problem across the board in the video game industry right now. As that anonymous person said when talking about their experience at the initiative, making games is hard. And I feel like people who develop video games, we're getting to this point where they've had enough. They don't want to crunch anymore, they don't want to work insane hours, they want to be treated with respect, of course, they want a good company culture, and they want to get paid more, and rightfully so. I know someone who works at Naughty Dog, and when they were crunching on The Last of Us 2, it was just insane. I couldn't believe the hours that he was putting in on this game. Most people think like, oh, they're crunching for like a couple weeks. No, they're crunching for like 2 years. I have it on good authority, and I mean good authority as my friend Jimmy, saying that Sony recently spent $1 billion trying to retain talent at their studios. For example, I have it on good authority from, and when I say good authority, I mean my friend Jimmy, that Sony recently spent upwards of $1.2 billion to retain talent at Bungie Studios. Like I said, I feel like we're at the beginning where developers are starting to realize their worth. I feel like it used to be like, well, you don't want to work at this studio? We're the only studio around. And if you leave here, I'm gonna make sure I blacklist you from working at any other studio. And now it's like, okay, why should I work here at a place I don't like when this other company is trying to hire me for their project and they're gonna pay me a lot of money and give me some really dope benefits? The studio head of the initiative seems like he's not too worried about it. He says it's no small task to build a studio and reinvent a beloved franchise. And creating the initiative, we set out to leverage co-development partnerships to achieve our ambitions. And we're really excited about all the progress we're seeing with our relationship with Crystal Dynamics. In this journey, it's not uncommon for there to be staffing changes, especially during a time of global upheaval over the past 2 years. And there's plenty more work in front of us to deliver a fantastic Perfect Dark experience to our players. We wish all our former colleagues the very best, and I'm confident in the team we have in place, the new talent joining, and we can't wait to share more with the fans. Now, before this, a lot of people were theorizing that we would potentially see Perfect Dark gameplay at E3 or the Microsoft event this summer, but now I'm not so sure. It definitely pushes back the release date at least by a couple of years, at least if all the stuff is true. But now, at the very least, I feel like Xbox can afford to be patient with this, not only because they have a lot of money, right? But I feel like they have enough projects in between now and whatever Perfect Dark releases to make us sort of not forget about it, but to hold us over until then. So according to some Xbox insiders, Xbox is going to have a big summer show right around the time that E3 takes place to show off what they've been working on. Jeff Grubb over on GB Decides says that I'll probably have more to say on this soon, but it's in June, not May. Well, they might do something in May or September, I don't know. But I know that they're planning for an E3 style show in June. They're talking to partners to get big games in there. That is ongoing right now and it's March, so it's not like they can change that train or turn that big ship around. Now, I know a lot of people have been waiting on a big show from Xbox. I have previously talked about in other videos that I've done how I wish that they had more consistent periodic updates like Nintendo Direct. But watching Claymation's State of Play, I realized something, and that's if you run an event that doesn't have like a lot of AAA games, even fans of that console are gonna say it's bad. Me personally, I like indie games, I like smaller games, but I'm the kind of guy that would see a game like Tunic and be like, whoa, that's so cool, whereas I'm starting to realize or get reminded of the fact that the general video game audience doesn't really go for that. That doesn't really hype them up. I've been listening to Randall Thor's and Jess Corden's Xbox 2 podcast, and the way they put it makes a lot of sense to me. Right now, it doesn't seem like Xbox has the content to do consistent updates like Nintendo Direct that would get people really excited about things. It's more like we're gonna pack it all into an E3 style show like this and just blow everyone's minds with one big show, and that'll carry on until like fall, winter time. Now, the thing on everyone's minds when they see this news is what would they reveal at a big show like this? If you go and listen to the podcast I was just listening to, they would say that it's probably going to be Bethesda focused. Might get a look at Redfall, which is made by Arcane, which is published by Bethesda, and of course Starfield. That would fit into the cycle that Fallout 4 followed, where they revealed gameplay 6 months out from the game's release and everyone was super hyped. Or it could be maybe something from Blizzard. A lot of people are thinking Overwatch 2, and a very surprising move. Overwatch 2 opened up invitations for, I think, the beta testing of Overwatch 2's multiplayer, and while everyone is saying, oh, Overwatch is dead, no one cares about Overwatch anymore, people trying to sign up for the Overwatch 2 beta crashed Battle.net, so clearly there's a lot of interest there. Maybe we'll get some news on some of these Activision Blizzard titles coming to Game Pass. I'm not sure how likely it is that it really is geared towards the whole Activision Blizzard thing. We don't even know if the deal is gonna go through. I think it might. You know, I'm not like a finance guy. I don't really know the inner workings of like when a company buys out another company, but I feel like it's gonna go through. Maybe I'm just optimistic, I don't know. But I feel like unless we get official news that this deal is a done deal with Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, we're not gonna see any news in this June showcase regarding Activision Blizzard games coming to Game Pass or being exclusive to Xbox. Like I said, I really like seeing indie games getting the spotlight. I think a lot of people, we focus too much sometimes on the AAA guys, and I feel like the indie guys, they need some love too. Personally, if they showed me a bunch of indie games and then showed like 10 minutes of Starfield gameplay, I would be pleased. I know a lot of people wouldn't be pleased, but I personally would be pleased. I'm very excited for whatever Microsoft has planned in June, whether they have a big showcase during E3 or they have a separate event. I really think it's gonna go a long way and really reinvigorate interest in Xbox because, like I said, it's been a couple of slow months. Luckily, I have been playing Elden Ring and that has been taking up a ton of my time on Xbox. I feel like a lot of people are on the same boat as well, but it's always nice to have things to look forward to. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you check out the merch shelf in the description for my patented Maidenless t-shirt. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.